or differences between as per GST are 1 or 3B, differences between GST are 2A versus 3B, or else notices are not, these returns are not being filed for more than 6 months, or else input reconciliation mismatch with respect to payables with GST are 1 data. So the notices are flowing into our offices like anything, and we are all every day, every one of us are trying to reply to the department in each or the other way. So to get more knowledge about in replying with the notices and how to deal with the notices that we receive from the department, so we thought we can have a session. So for that we have the speakers here, Arup Das Gupta ji. Arup ji?
Yes.
Sir, yeah. Am I audible, sir? Yeah. Thank you. Now I request our regional council member, our Guntur branch ex officio, Sri C.M. Uppal Subbarao Garu, to give his opening remarks on this session. Sir, over to you.
Good evening, members. It gives me a pleasure to be part of the virtual CP meeting on GST notices a way forward. And also I welcome the speaker Das Gupta Garu from Kolkata, a renowned speaker from Eastern region. And as the chairman told, we are receiving abnormal and enormous notices from the GST department. Today also I received my client received a notice for the comparison between the GST 3B and 2A for the year 2017-18. After 4 or 5 years, my client received the notice. I request the speaker to be an interactive. It should be an interactive session more than a session. Use more time for the participant for their queries. And also, I request the speaker to give the practical approach to the members. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you, Naresh.
Thank you, Subbarao sir. Thank you for the opening remarks. Now I request our MC member, C.A. Naresh Garu, to introduce today's speaker. Naresh sir, over to you.
Thank you, madam. C.A. Arup Das Gupta is a hardcore compliance professional with a deep interest in tax and litigations and advisories, and is based in city of Joy, India. He is a qualified CA in the year 2000 and company secretary in the same year, and CISA in the year 2010. He has also earned a diploma in IFRS from UK. He has over 2 decades of experience in tax laws and other allied laws. In the year 2000, Arup Das Gupta started his career with Biswas Das Gupta and Roy, a mid-sized CA firm, as a partner. In the year 2009, after a brief stint with IFB Agro Industries, he joined Rediffusion, a leading advertisement agency, as a general finance manager. In 2012, Arup left the company and he set his own practice, primarily handling tax litigations and advisories only. After the introduction of GST in 2017, he has put on many hats as implementer, advisor, trainer, compliance consultant, litigation consultant, and also advisor to the government and other trade bodies on GST issues. He has hands-on experience in providing opinion advisory services to some leading corporates, carrying out the strategic review of business process to evaluate the GST implications, filing returns, replying to the show cause notices under litigation services, and representations before the adjudicating authorities, appellate authorities, and etc. He was also co-opted member of IDTC from EARC for the financial year 1920. He has published articles in journals and leadings in online websites. He is a faculty on GST with ICAI and some leading universities. While he is away from indirect taxations, startup ideas keep him engaged as he tries to mentor and pro bono the startups with huge exposure of the last 20 years in the area of compliance, taxation, and business and structuring. With this brief introduction, I would like the speaker to start the session. Now the session is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Madam Bhargavi for the opportunity for discussing here, and thank you to the NC member for giving the wonderful welcome introduction to me, and thank you to RC member for actually sharing about the challenges that the clients are really facing. So I will straight away go to today's topic. So I'll start the sharing. Yeah. Just give me 1 minute. I'll just put it in.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay. So I'll start, since I'm from Bengal, I'll start with a poem of Rabindranath Tagore, which reads, I do not pray to protect me from perils. Let me be fearless. Amidst sorrow and pain, I may not be consoled. Let me overcome. I need not be helped, just let my strength hold. So the thing is that we are all practicing GST. So when practicing GST, we need a lot of strength. So there is a song where actually Rabindranath Tagore is telling us that let us be strong so that we can fight all the challenges in life. Because when we are practicing GST, we have to be really very strong because a lot of notices and a lot of proceeding, audit, search, Caesar, a lot of things are happening together. So today's topic that we are going to discuss is about the notices under GST and the way forward. So here, no legal definition has been given in the Act. What is GST? What is a notice? So that's why I have taken the definition of notice from Black's Law Dictionary, which wonderfully shares a legal notification or a warning that is delivered in a written format or through a formal announcement. Okay, so as we all know that most of the notices are actually a warning telling that you have done this mistake or you have availed this excess ITC or your way bill is not matching with your 3B. So all these are warnings that you have not done this or you have done that. Wherein a party or an individual is considered liable if the party has knowledge of the notice, he receives the notice and knows it through his experience, has knowledge with regards to an associate fact and could have gained knowledge had an inquiry been undertaken. So when a notice is given to me, what
Sir,
is important?
Arup sir, Arup sir,
Yeah.
Arup, yeah, there is some echo is coming, sir. The
Okay.
voice is not properly
Yeah,
audible.
1 second. 1 second.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Actually, there is some heavy thunder going on. That close the windows. So that's where the echo was coming.
Okay,
Yes.
sir. Okay.
Now I think it's okay.
Yes, it's fine, sir. Now.
Yeah. So whenever a notice is being received, the main thing is that we have to understand that we are made aware about the problem or the challenge that we are facing. We are made to know that this is a mistake that you have made and you have to rectify it. So first, why are we discussing about this definition? We are discussing about this definition from Black's Law Dictionary because even a letter which tells you that you have made this mistake, you have availed excess ITC, or maybe your a letter which says that such and such supplier of yours has not deposited the tax, okay, under 3B. So that's why your ITC is going to be disallowed. Even if such letters are being received by us, which are not in the form of notice, we need to understand that they are actually a notice which is trying to tell you or giving you a warning that there is some mistake or there is some problem which the department has detected and we need to respond to it. So, yeah. So now, who is a proper officer? When we discuss about notice, we know that the notice can be issued by a proper officer. That's why understanding about the proper officer is very important. So proper officer in relation to any function to be performed under this act means the commissioner or the officer of the central tax who is assigned that function by the commissioner of the board. So whenever we get a notice, the first thing, instead of getting worried that how do we reply to the notice or why the notice has come and things like that, the first thing that we need to do is that we need to understand whether the person who is issuing the notice is actually authorized to issue the notice or not. Okay, so how do we understand whether he is authorized to issue the notice or not? We need to go back to notification number 2/2017, wherein the designated officers are given, and also the officers who can delegate their responsibility to others, that has been given. So, for example, in one of the cases that we got, an inspector of the department. Yeah. So an inspector of the department had actually issued a notice. So we need to check whether an inspector of the department of the central tax, whether he is the authorized officer to issue a notice to us. So that's why as soon as we get the notice, the first thing that we need to check is the authority of the officer who is issuing the notice. Okay, because if the authority of the officer is not right and we reply to the same, later on we cannot contradict, saying that the authority was not right, and so now since we have replied to the notice, the order is not proper, we cannot tell all these things. Next is, does he have the jurisdiction to issue the notice? So in this case, I'll give a practical example. The practical example is a registered taxable person in Maharashtra. He is issued a notice by an officer in West Bengal, and the West Bengal officer is asking the registered person in Maharashtra to confirm whether this person has done, the taxable person in West Bengal has done a business with the person in Maharashtra, and if yes, whether that person has deposited the tax. Okay, so we need to understand that the officer under CGST West Bengal, he is not authorized, he does not have the jurisdiction over the other person, over the registered taxable person in Maharashtra. So the registered taxable person in Maharashtra, he is nowhere bound to reply to the notice sent by the officer in West Bengal. So that's why we need to understand about the jurisdiction issue. Another issue of jurisdiction we could understand is when, in the case of a recovery, say you owe to a particular, you have taken some goods from a particular person, from a supplier, worth 1 crore rupees, and now this particular, you have paid the GST to him, and you have paid the money to him, say to the extent of 50 lakhs. But this particular person, the supplier, he has not made the payment of the GST. Now tomorrow, the GST department goes and starts proceedings against the supplier, and the supplier is unable to pay the amount. So in this case, the officer of your supplier, he may invoke section 79, okay, section 79 of the GST Act, and tell you that this person, Mr. XYZ, to him you owe 50 lakhs because you have taken goods of 1 crore, but you have made payment of only 50 lakhs. Balance 50 lakhs is due. So that 50 lakhs, you pay the money to us. Okay, you pay the money to the GST department because under section 79, we can recover the money from you. So in this case also, you need to remember that whenever the recovering officer is sending you the communication, whether that is under the proper jurisdiction or not. Okay, whether he can send you a show cause notice telling why have you not paid the money to the supplier, whether he has a jurisdiction to do that, all these things we need to be clear. Next, in the case of the monetary limits, next in third case, we have certain situations wherein we have seen that there are issues regarding to money. What is the monetary limit that we are talking about here? The monetary limit is in Circular 31. In Circular 31 of CGST 2018, maybe you can write it down if you want to. In Circular 31 of CGST Act 2018, it is dated 9th February 2018. It's dated 9th February 2018. In that particular circular, the monetary limits for adjudication has been given. So, a superintendent of central tax, he can adjudicate or issue notices for amount below 10 lakhs only. Okay. Similarly, the limits, other limits have been given for a deputy commissioner or for a commissioner of central tax or for an additional commissioner of central. So separate limits have been given. Like in the case of, say, only CGST tax is due or SGST tax is due, if the CGST Act tax amount, which is recoverable, that is below 10 lakhs, only in that case, the superintendent or the assistant commissioner of central tax, they can issue the notice. If the amount which is recoverable or the notice amount of tax amount is between 10 lakhs and 1 crore, then only a deputy commissioner, okay, so then only a deputy commissioner or a assistant commissioner, they only can issue the notice, not below or above that, okay, not anybody below that. And if any amount of tax is above 1 crore, in that case, only an additional commissioner or a joint commissioner or a commissioner of CGST, they can issue the notice. So as soon as you get the notice, these three things are very important. Who is a proper officer? Does he have the jurisdiction to issue the notice? As I told you about the geographical jurisdiction, like an officer in Punjab cannot send a notice to a taxable person in Andhra Pradesh asking for details. And similarly, as far as monetary limits are concerned, a superintendent of central tax cannot issue a notice for where CGST amount of 12 lakhs is actually due or recoverable. Next, we go to suppression. So another important thing that is there in the Act is about suppression. So why is suppression so important? Because in the case of non-suppression, the time limit is 3 years. Okay, the time limit is 3 years from the end of the date of the annual return. Whereas in the case of suppression, fraud, or misstatement, the time gets extended to 5 years. So that's why when can section 74 be invoked? That also needs to be understood by us very clearly. So in section 74, explanation 2, they have mentioned that suppression shall mean non-declaration of fact or information which a taxable person is required to declare. So in the return, statement, report, or any other document furnished under this Act or rules made thereunder, or failure to furnish any information on being asked for or in writing by the proper officer. So we need to be very clear here that suppression has 4 limbs. So what are the limbs? The first limb, I have not declared certain fact or information properly. Then only it will come under suppression. Where who has not declared? Only a taxable person has not declared. So a person whose limit is, say, whose turnover limit is below the taxable amount, okay, say is below the taxable amount of say 20 lakhs, okay, he is not supposed to get registered, or in case of goods 40 lakhs. So in his case, the element of suppression will not come. The element of suppression can come only when I am a taxable person. Who is a taxable person? A person who is supposed to get himself registered in the Act. And where am I making this non-declaration of fact? In the return, statement, report, or any other document. So friends, whenever you are submitting a reply, under against a notice, wherein you are trying to challenge that no, there is no suppression in this particular situation, then you need to see that not only the returns, but whether in any statement that you are supposed to give, whether in any other document or form that you need to fill up, whether you have given any wrong declaration or not. And the fourth limb, failure to furnish any information on being asked for in writing by the proper officer. Okay, so please remember this important thing. Please remember this important thing. Here, the important thing is that the officer, while issuing the notice, he has asked for certain documents or information. Okay, so he has told you that give me the sales data for last 3 years. So maybe you have not furnished the sales data for the last 3 years. Okay, maybe you have not given it in writing. You have told to him orally. So in that case also, it will be treated as suppression of fact. Why? Because it was asked by the proper officer. He told you to give the information and you have not given the information. So even in that situation, it will be treated as suppression. So friends, please be very careful that whenever you get any notice to ask, whether give this information or we need this particular information from you or books of accounts or whatever it is, please do give the same to the officers so that later on suppression is not taken as an allegation. So now some questions that often come to us is that whether genuine difference between GSTR 1 and 3B can be considered to be a suppression. Okay, so I would like to take the view of the house, if anyone wants to respond, that whether GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B, I have made a genuine mistake. Okay, like in GSTR 1, by mistake, in place of 10 lakhs, I have shown the taxable turnover as 1 crore. Okay, sorry, in GSTR 1, I have shown properly 10 lakhs and I have shown the tax amount also properly. But while filing the GSTR 3B, I have shown the taxable amount as 1 crore and I have shown the tax amount of 1,80,001 only. So the tax amount was properly shown, but the taxable amount was wrongly shown. So can this be treated as a suppression? So what is the view of the house? Anybody wants to reply to this?
No, sir, it cannot be.
Yeah, it cannot be a suppression. Why? Because it's the clerical error which is apparent from the record. Why? Because my tax amount as per GSTR 1 and as per 3B is saying only the taxable value by mistake in place of 10 lakhs I mentioned as 1 crore. So this cannot be treated as suppression. So in one of our cases, when he got a notice for this particular issue, we had gone only with the definition of suppression, and only by dealing with the definition of suppression, we could actually come out of the particular matter. So that's why whenever you are responding to a notice, what is important is to first understand as to what the notice is trying to allege. What is the allegation in the notice? And as per the allegation in the notice, whether we have done the acts as told in the notice or not. Okay, so if you can fight on those lines, as we will see in some time in some of the future slides, how we will have to fight the notice also, that we will discuss. So during that time, we'll see that going through the notice is a very important. Next, whether exempted suppliers and non-taxable supplies need to be compulsorily disclosed in GSTR 1 and 3B. So the view of some of the department officers is that, why have you not shown the exempted supply in 1 and 3B? You should have shown it. That means you have not shown, that means it is suppression. Okay, so we need to understand that yes, these are some facts. We should have gone in GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B, but since they are non-taxable items and exempted items, non-disclosure of the same does not change my tax liability. So that's why it is not suppression of facts. And that's why section 74 or the extended time limit cannot be invoked. Okay, next, ITC reversal to be shown on net basis or under ITC reversal head in 3B. This is again a huge allegation. In many parts of India, we have already started receiving notice for this. Okay, so what is the problem? Problem is, I have ITC of 100 rupees and I have a credit note from a supplier of 5 rupees. So there are two ways to show this. One way is show 100 rupees in all other ITC and 5 rupees in the reversal part. Okay, and the other way is show 95 rupees in all other ITC. So whosoever has shown 95 rupees in all other ITC, now department is telling them that where is the reversal? Why have you not reversed 5 rupees? So now you have taken away 95 rupees. So now reverse 5 rupees in your ITC reversal. Okay. So to this, we need to understand that the fact we have the supportings that is there, that this is my 100 rupees, because my 2A is clearly showing that I am eligible to avail 100 rupees. And my 2A is also showing that I have received a reversal of 5 rupees. So net, I can avail 95 rupees and I have availed 95 rupees in the 3B only. So friends, if you get any notice for this particular issue that you have shown ITC on a net basis, then please take refuge, please take help of the GSTR 2A. Whenever you consult the GSTR 2A, you will see practically that your total ITC availed in 2A is 100 rupees. The ITC reversal as per your 2A is 5 rupees. So the net is 95 rupees. So you need to represent or submit that 95 rupees is available to me on a net basis from GSTR 2A, and that is the ITC that I have availed. That is the ITC that I have availed in my 3B. Next, whether export of services made without submission of LUT but shown under export without payment of tax is valid for refunds. Okay, so this is again another notice that we have got. What is the problem here? I'll tell you. It's an advertising agency. The advertising agency is raising invoices to Nepal, okay, and also to some clients in USA, Dubai, and other countries also. So what has happened is that this particular RTP, registered taxable person, they have not issued, they have not applied for an LUT, letter of undertaking, basis which you don't have to charge, you don't have to pay any tax on exports, okay? Because as we know, exports is zero rated. So if you have a LUT, letter of undertaking, you don't need to pay any tax. If you don't have a letter of undertaking, then what you need to do is you need to pay tax and then claim the refund of the same. In this case, what had happened is that they had not applied for the LUT, but they had shown it in the GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B under the head export without payment of tax, and they have also availed the refund of the ITC that was available, okay, unutilized ITC that is available. So now department issues me a notice, okay, department issues me a notice saying that, sir, you don't have a LUT. So if you have not furnished a LUT, how can you say that you have made export supplies without payment of tax? So in this case, we think it is a suppression of fact. You have given a wrong information. So that's why what you need to do now, you need to make the payment of tax on the invoices, okay, considering it to be export with payment of taxes, and also you refund the entire ITC that you have taken as refund, okay, refund that entire amount, paid back. So we are defending that particular show cause notice that is not has received any finality. But yes, this, whether we need to consider this as a suppression, whether this is an issue under which they can tell me not to actually avail, you know, not to avail the benefit of exports, whether that is justified or not. To my opinion, friends, furnishing of LUT is only a procedural matter. Okay, so the different high courts have also held that it's a procedural matter. But yes, now since long time has lapsed, in this year, saying after to 2020, you cannot say that you didn't know how to furnish LUT. Now this is a matter of the initial years, 18, 19. They didn't have any idea about LUT and all. That is the time when we could take the plea of procedural lapse, and that's why it should be allowed. So here you need to understand that if you're not following a particular procedure, okay, if you're not following a particular procedure, then also it is a misinformation, then also it's a suppression. And then in that case, they will take you to 74 and not through 73. Okay, so what are the differences between 73 and 74 that we'll see in some time. Okay, so whether non-declaration, another important thing, whether non-declaration of APOB or change in director shareholders can be a suppression. So what has happened in this case? I have about 10 different offices, okay, 10 different additional places of business. I have informed to the GST department only 5 additional places of business, and the 5 other additional places of business I have not intimated, even though I am operating them for more than 2 years. So these are all real life situations that I am discussing. So in this case, department had come with saying that why have you not informed the department about the change in place of business or the addition of place of business? So this is actually a violation of the law, okay? Because as per the registration norms, we have to inform, okay, every addition in the place of business that we are doing within 15 days, okay, from the date of addition. So in this case, what could be the repercussions? First, repercussion could be that whatever ITC is received at that particular location, that could be challenged by the department. Okay. Secondly, it's a violation that you're carrying out a business from a place of business which is not registered. So though these are lapses on our part, we need to understand one thing, that whether we have actually disbursed or paid the output tax which is originating from this additional place of business. So my submission to the department when they were rejecting the ITC, when they said, no, since you have not declared these places in your registration certificate, these 5 additional places you have not declared, you will not get the ITC of the invoices which are marked to this particular addresses. To that, I had humbly submitted, sir, if my ITC is not accepted, then the output tax that I've paid on the supply made from these places, that has to be refunded to me. Okay, because without purchase, I could not have made the supplies, right? So that's why this is a procedural lapse, this is a suppression which will be counted under section 74. But we need to understand that this is a thing which needs to be considered, which we need to take a ground while for giving a reply to the notice in this cases, is that if the input was not availed based on inputs and input services, then how could the output be made? So in that case, by logic, the output tax needs to be refunded to us. And that's why the procedure, ultimately what was done, the department had accepted my procedural mistake, and I had to pay penalty for not getting the places registered within 15 days from the date of addition. Okay. So what are the reasons now? Now we'll come to some of the reasons for which we are getting the notices. Okay. As you all know, and as Bhargavi ma'am was also sharing, that a lot of notices are coming, okay, day in and day out. And what is a notice? As we saw in the first slide, it's an intimation to you or a warning that there is something wrong that you may have done or may not have done. Okay, it's not that getting a notice means that you have always done a mistake. There are situations, there are many notices which are coming just like that and they don't have any relevance. Okay, so first notice that we are getting is non-existence of PPOB, principal place of business. I'm not sure whether you're getting it in Guntur or the surrounding areas, but in West Bengal, Odisha, Delhi, and even in Mumbai, we are getting notices, our clients are getting notices for non-existence of principal place of business. So what is the story of non-existence of principal place of business? So if you have applied for a refund, okay, what the department is doing is that they're going for physical verification. And when they go for physical verification to this place, they see that the office is closed. Okay, and then they ask the neighbors that since when is this office operating or not operating, since when it is closed and things like that. And suppose a neighbor is not having a good relationship with you, he or she just tells the officer, office, we never saw any office here, there was no business here, they just have the signboard. So on the basis of such a statement, the departmental officer comes back and he issues a show cause notice for cancellation of registration, citing non-existence of principal place of business. So has anybody received this kind of notice? If yes, then you can just raise your hand or share your views. Okay, so I'm sure if somebody has received. So in this case, what do you need to do? How do we reply to this thing? Firstly, we need to get all the address documents in place, the landlord, the rent agreement, the landlord KYC, okay, the KYC of the owners or the directors or the partners, whatever is there. Fourth, we need to have the electricity bill. Then we need to have other proofs like checkbook, the courier documents you get, the bank statement that you are operating, the electricity bill, which shows that yes, electricity is being generated and consumed on a regular basis. So you need to have then the sales statement. Okay, the sales you make a statement of sales, statement of purchases, make all these supporting documents. Okay, and also we are giving a photograph of the place of business. Make all these supporting documents, and then with this, go to the proper officer and furnish the reply. Okay, so whenever you are getting this notice, please don't treat it that as if they are giving the notice just like that. And so maybe we can just reply saying that, no, sir, we are actually working from this particular place. So please don't worry. And, so please don't worry. You don't have to cancel my registration because I exist in this particular place. Because we have seen certain replies who just mentioned that, yes, my principal place of business is existing. But friends, try to appreciate that the government officer needs evidences for his records to explain as to why the registration which is being proceeded for cancellation should not be cancelled. So that's why in this particular cases, please give all the address proofs that you have, give the electricity bill, give the bank statements which prove that you're actually operating from that place, give some courier documents or speed post documents which will verify and give evidence that you're working from that place actually. Okay, and also if possible, give the photographs. Now, a question which normally comes is that, sir, I work from a virtual office. So in this case, how can I give all these details? So you need to understand that when you're working from a virtual office, please do make an arrangement to have a representative who is there at the virtual office. Okay, so that it does not happen that the departmental officers go and they are not welcomed or received by somebody. Okay, so you need to have your nameplate in place as per the norms with the GST number, and you need to have your books of accounts there at the virtual workplace, and you also need to have your registration documents like the trade license, professional tax, and other things in the cabin that you have taken at the virtual workplace. Very easy to respond. Yeah, so this is very easy to understand that, once you file the 3B and the 1, you just give a reply saying that I have filed 3B and 1. Now, here I wanted to warn you about one simple thing. We are fighting some of the show cause notices, wherein unfortunately, the businessman did not keep a track of all the 3A notices which are coming to his portal. Now, what has happened is as soon as you don't file your 1 or 3B, a 3A notice under GSTR 3A is already issued automatically. It's auto-generated and it comes to your notices and orders portion. So please be careful, because when you are receiving that is actually a notice under the GST Act. So even if you are not responding to the notice, please try to see that you furnish the 3B and the 1 within time. Next, and very important, mismatch of e-way bill versus 3B. So what is happening? This is a real life case wherein the person is having his customer location at only about 100 meters away. So what is happening? Company A, it is the distributor, it gets the materials from outside West Bengal and they store these goods in their warehouse and they sell all these materials to their customer who is based only 100 meters away from their godown. Okay, then that particular local distributor, he distributes within the rest part of West Bengal. So in this case, what was happening is that their billing, their invoices were above the threshold limit required for issuing e-way bill, but they were not issuing any e-way bill. Okay, why? Because the location is only 100 meters, so they could take it through some dispatch people, or maybe through some that van that you have without motorable van and all. So it was going just like that. So it did not need any motorable van, to transport the goods from one place to another. So in this genuine case, we got a notice saying that why is no e-way bill issued, though in your 3B you are showing turnover, in your GSTR 1 you are showing invoices above the threshold limit. Okay, so this is one scenario. Second scenario is I am issuing e-way bill. Okay, I am issuing e-way bill. I'm making supplies, but while I'm filing the 3B, I'm not showing those invoices in my 3B. So many reasons could be there. It could be that I'm sending something through my job or to my job worker. Okay. So that's why I'm not showing in my 3B. It's not coming as my output supply. Maybe I'm sending it to my other places of business. Okay. So additional place of business to within the same PAN number within the state. So that's why maybe I'm not showing it in 3B. So there could be n number of reasons. So you need to do a reconciliation of 3B as to, these are my 3B data and this is my waybill data. In this waybill data, these are the reasons where, it is not an output supply. It is, and it is also visible from the reason given in the e-waybill that other than supply. Okay. So this reconciliation needs to be done and furnished to the department. Okay. But where is it a challenge where you are actually issuing a e-waybill for an outward supply, but you are not showing it in 3B. So that is an offense. So maybe the department, if they are certain that you are not showing your outward supplies properly, now they can actually suspend their registration, suspend your registration. Next is major payment through ITC. This is again a risk area wherein many notices are being issued. So what is happening? Typically month on month, from April to March, month on month, every month, this particular registered taxpayer is making the payment only through ITC. Okay, they are making the payment only through ITC. They are not making payment through cash. Okay, they are not following 86B also. Okay, why? Because they have fulfilled some conditions, which are required to be followed in 86B. That's why they don't pay even the 1% tax. So in these cases, you are getting a notice saying that most of your payments are being made through ITC. So please let us know why is it so that no payments are made in cash. So can anybody tell in the chat box that whether this is a situation which is possible in normal day-to-day business, that you are making most of the payments through ITC? Any replies? You can say in yes or no, or maybe you can write your replies, or you can also unmute and tell your replies also. Is it possible that I make most of my payments output tax through ITC?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it is possible. Right. Any other
Where
replies
you
where they
have
say no?
most of the cases inverted duties.
Yes. Yes. So one of the situations is inverted duties. Another situation could be that you are into a distribution business, like, into FMCG business. In FMCG business, what typically happens is that month on month, they have to build up a huge stock. Okay. See, you're selling biscuits or soaps or things like that. So you have to have a huge stock. And since you build up this stock, therefore, always your output taxes will be lesser than your input taxes, right? So here what you need to do is you need to give your stock register. What we do is we make a stock statement wherein we tell them that this was my opening stock, this is my inward supply, this is my outward supply, this is my closing stock. So since on a month on month, I have to maintain a huge closing stock. That is the reason because of which I'm making all the payments to ITC, and there is no fraud, there is no fake invoicing that is happening. And apart from that, the other reason which is given is also in case of inverted duty structure, wherein we don't pay because what is happening is whatever inputs we are having, that is higher than whatever is there on the output taxes. Okay, the reason is that just to remove all this inverted duty structure, a lot of tax structuring has been done, and recently we have seen that for the government contractors, they have increased the rate from 12% to 18%. Why? Because most of the government contractors, they were buying their inputs with 18% and 28%, like marble, cement, etc. But they were paying taxes of 12% only. So in those cases also, the payments were coming only through ITC and cash payments were not coming, and a huge blockage was there because of the inverted duty structure. Okay. Next reason is blockage of ITC. So in this case, what had happened? It's a real life situation again. So in this case, what had happened? This particular company, they are maintaining an ITC of 2 crores and above for quite some time. And now the department has given us a notice saying that why is this ITC of 2 crores it is there in your account for such a long time. Why have you blocked this credit on your own? Why are you not using this credit? So friends, try to appreciate that even if you're not utilizing your ITC, that is also a matter of suspicion. Okay, so whenever some ITC is not being utilized for a long period of time, when you are doing your GST or GST audits or GST reconciliation, please be careful. Try to find out the reason from the clients. Why am I saying this? Because when we do the GST reconciliations properly, at that time, you'll see that 90% of the reasons of the issuance of show cause notices, they can be actually resolved. Like when you're doing a GST reconciliation, take all the addresses, take the details of all the addresses from the registered tax person and see whether all the addresses are added in the registration certificate. So if that is done, tomorrow they don't get a notice for not adding additional place of business. Now, coming back to this particular thing. So what had happened in this particular situation? It is again a works contractor. They had got a huge order, and in the order, since it was COVID time, they did not have funds. What had happened is that the supplier made them an advance of 70% of the contract value, because the customer, they had an urgency to build up this office space in a very short time during COVID, because they had to make some shift arrangement for server and all other things. So they made an advance payment of 70%, and this was a huge work, okay? And the advance is also huge. So since they made the advance payment, and as you all know, in case of services, on advances, we have to pay the GST. So when they got the advance, they made the GST payment on that. Okay. During that time, since no inputs were purchased or utilized, they could not actually utilize the ITC. So because of that, what happened is that on the entire 70%, say the contract was for say 20 crores, I would say, they got 14 crores. And in 14 crores, by grossing up, they paid, say, I'm telling you, say about 3 crores. They paid as GST. Okay. And they could not adjust any ITC at that point of time. So later on, what happened? Later on, they started purchasing everything and all the inputs started coming and all those things happened. At the end of the project, we see that there is a 1 crore plus ITCs lying in my electronic credit ledger, which cannot be actually adjusted. Okay, which cannot be actually adjusted. So this is a real practical example. The interior decorator, they paid tax on the advance. So on the 70%, so large portion is paid without making utilization of the ITC. Later on, when they raise the invoice, only 30% of the bill value is left to be invoiced. So they paid GST only on the 30%, remaining 30%. But the entire ITC of the project has come during that period. And that's why a huge chunk of ITC of about 1 crore, I think 30 lakhs plus or something like that, that was, lying in the electronic credit ledger for more than 7 to 8 months. So in this case, we had to make a statement saying that, sir, this was the advance received. This is the tax that was paid. This is the ITC that we have availed during the period. This is the ITC that was adjusted against the balance amount. And finally, this is the ITC that we are not able to adjust. And since I'm not allowed to avail refund in this case, because this is not arising out of inverted D2A structure. This is arising because I had paid the output tax first on advances without adjusting the ITC. That's why I am in a situation where this ITC is blocked by me. Okay. So friends, why am I sharing this with you? Because I feel that these webinars that ICAI is organizing, this should be practical workshops wherein we get the practical problems being faced by the industry, and we know how the friends in our fraternity, they are fighting those show cause notices. Okay. So next is about the major B2C supplies. Again, here also some notices are being received. What are the notices that are being received? The department is saying that this particular product, why are you selling only to B2C? Why is there no B2B supply for this? Okay, so you're selling in bulk. you're selling in say one invoice is say of 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, but you are showing that you are making B2C supplies. So now the question of the department is that why are you selling to unregistered person of this amount of, of the such high values, 7 lakhs, 8 lakhs. So give us the details, the details of all the people to whom you are making such major B2C supplies. Now, friends, you may say from one point of view that department is harassing us. Why should department be bothered when whether I'm making a supply of 7 lakhs, 10 lakhs or 70,000 or 7,000 to somebody? Okay. So here what is essentially happening is that once you give the data that I'm selling this large, B2C supplies to the A, B, C, D and their PAN number is such and such, then department is going to start investigations as to why those people who are buying such huge volumes without, giving their GST registration numbers, whether they are registered or not. Okay. So now coming to a corollary on that, when you are making a supply of such huge amounts, okay, 7 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 4 lakhs to an unregistered dealer, what are the precautions that you as a registered taxable person or you as a chartered accountant should guide? We should guide to our clients. What is the guidance that we need to give? We need to tell them that if you are making such bulk sales, like 7 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs also I have seen. So in these cases, please do keep the KYC documents properly. Okay. Please do keep the KYC documents properly. That is at least the Aadhaar card and the PAN card, the address details. The payment should be received obviously in check, not through cash, because it's a huge sales. And why are you going to do this? You are going to do this so that tomorrow, when the burden of proof shifts on you to prove that these sales are all genuine and these are not fake sales, okay? These are not just fake sales. That is the time. Maybe it has happened that you have actually sold in cash to somebody else. And then now this person is just, transferring this, getting this thing done, getting this sales done. These are all fake sales just to start the, adjust the stock. So this allegation should not come. That's why whenever such major B2C supplies are there, please do take caution of having the KYC documents in place. Next risk area that we see or notices that we see sometimes is that the registered taxable person is actually paying IGST while importing the goods. Okay. So department is having a figure. Department knows that against this GSTN, this particular IGST was paid during the course of import, and this is a huge amount, okay? But what had happened in this scenario was that this particular RTP, he was not showing any sale in the GSTR 3B. So I'll tell you, friends, one simple thing. Yesterday morning, I attended a seminar on artificial intelligence, okay, because I happen to practice a bit of cyber law also. So in that we were having a session on artificial intelligence. And in artificial intelligence, we were shown in a particular session yesterday as to how a robotic software wherein you punch in the Excel data, okay, Excel data, and what the software is doing is they are raising the invoice. They are telling you when this particular customer had made you the last payment, what was the payment made by them, and so much of data is coming from there. Okay, and it is also telling you which particular data, when you are giving that detail, which particular data has not made you the payment, made payment to you in the last 5 months. Okay, so think of artificial intelligence, how it has really improved over the ages, over the days. Today, whether you are a diabetic or whether you may become diabetic within the next 6 months or 1 year, that has been predicted based on artificial intelligence. Similarly, in case of GST administration, artificial intelligence is being hugely utilized. Okay, because I happen to work very closely with government also in certain areas. So we are of this awareness that government is aware about most of the activities of the business. So that's why whenever you're advising a client please do advise him or her from a holistic point of view, from covering all the aspects. So in this case, what happened? They were importing goods, toys from a particular country, but their advisor, the consultant who was giving advice to them, he advised that you do the import, get in the thing, and then make the payment in cash and keep the stock. At the year end, we will see what we can do. Okay, at the year, why? What was the logic? Because there is very thin margin. When the client came to me with the show cause notice, and I asked him, but sir, why are you not showing the sales? Why are you not paying the taxes? He said, sir, बहुत thin margin hai, sir. Only 1% margin we make, only 2% margin we make, and that too it's very, very fierce competition. Friends, try to understand business case and compliance. These are two different things. If there is a very thin margin in a business, why should you at all get into that business? Because at the end of the day, taxes have to be paid. So coming back to our question. So here, what did artificial intelligence detect? Artificial intelligence detected that this particular person is making IGST payment for imports, but they are not showing in 3B. Okay. So to this, if it was a genuine, this was not a genuine situation. This I've given this example just for your knowledge, so that whenever you are doing a GST reconciliation, you can keep this in mind, that this aspect also needs to be checked. So in a genuine situation, what could happen is that I could actually make IGST payments for my own use. Maybe I'm importing furniture, I'm importing machinery, I am importing some other laptop. Okay, I'm maybe importing some other goods which I'm going to use for my office. And that's why I'm not showing it in my outward supplies. I'm not selling it. Okay. So whenever you get such a notice for mismatch of IGST for import with output supplies, please do check in the reason and give the reason accordingly, give the reply to the department. Next, unutilization of huge credits lying with RTP. This is the same as blocking of ITC, blockage of huge blockage, in the account of ITC. So what is happening in this particular case? It is not blocked over a huge period of time. But what was happening in this particular case is that the ITC was not being utilized. They had, say, 80 lakhs in CGST and SGST, but they were making payments in cash. They were not utilizing this ITC. So suddenly, this was also prompted by artificial intelligence or something. There was some notice coming in that why are you not utilizing this high ITC for a long time? You're making payment through a cash. Okay. So this was also a concern area. When we spoke to the clients, we came to know that they had taken some bank loans. And in the bank loans, whenever you pay only through ITC and you don't make payment in cash, that is the question is being raised at that end. So that's why, just not to have any questions from the bankers, they are paying the taxes in cash instead of utilizing their huge ITC which they were having. Okay. So this all we could reply to a particular logic. Last two are the interpretation issues and the classification issues. So I'll just give an example, job work. So when you're doing a job work for a registered person, you can levy 12% tax, right? Apart from some other job work which have 5% tax. So here in this particular situation, what happened? This particular dealer, he was charging 18%. Okay, he was charging 18%, because of which he got a notice. He's telling that why are you charging 18% when you are doing a job work to a registered person. So to this, we had replied that we are actually applying a higher rate and not a lower rate, right? But what they were trying to tell is that they were trying to take a confirmation from us that we have applied the wrong rate. And since we have applied the wrong rate, what they want to do is that they want to intimate our suppliers, our recipients, and tell their officers that ITC to the extent of 6% needs to be reversed. Why? Because that is not as per the rate as notified in the rate chart, in the rate notification. So this in the classification issues, this notification, we need to see, maybe I'm not taking the risk of, because sometimes I'm selling to registered, sometimes I'm selling to unregistered. I'm not sure when I'm going to bill. And my billing amount is also very small. Bills of 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So it is not possible for me to physically keep a track when I'm charging to a registered person or unregistered person. So all these cases, whenever notices are coming, Let us try to understand whether it is an interpretation issue, whether it is a classification issue, and then respond to it accordingly. Okay. And in case of interpretation issue, we need to understand that what is the logic on the basis of which we have interpreted the thing in the particular way. Okay. It should not be that the tax rate is such and such and such. That's why we have taken this rate as this. Okay. So if you are taking a composite supply concept, okay. So what is the rate? So I have a hospital, and the hospital in the healthcare is exempted. So when I have given food to the clients, maybe I have added as a revenue food to clients, but that is coming under composite supply. So that's why I have not levied any tax. Okay. So all these things need to be clearly mentioned whenever you are getting a notice and you are replying to it. So this could be some of the reasons for which notice is being issued and to which we can actually reply properly. Now coming to the next part. So we have gone with the first part. The second part is what should be there in the show cause notice. Now you may say that, okay, so what is the purpose of knowing that what should be there in the show cause notice? After all, we will get a show cause notice and we'll have to reply to it. But I will tell you one thing, as a person, the person who's handling litigation for a long time, though you challenge the technical aspects of a show cause notice, never forget to give the merit angle of the reply. So if there is no material given, if there is no the show cause notice is bland, so no details are given to you. You just don't write that the show cause notice is bad in law because no details are given, and so we think that allegations have to be dropped. No. This reason that what should be there in the show cause notice, which was held in the one of the supreme cases on show cause notice, Vrindavan Beverages, okay, by the Honorable Supreme Court. So what did the Honorable Supreme Court say? No material in that regard was placed on record. So if an allegation is given, they have to give a supporting for that also. So if you are giving me a cancellation notice that my principal place of business does not exist, so they have to tell me how did they find out that my principal place of business does not exist? When did they go for the inspection? Where are the photographs? Where are the witnesses who have said that this place does not exist? Okay, so can I actually cross-examine the people, my neighbors, who told that the office does not exist? So the first thing that we need to see in the show cause notice is whether all the materials with any allegation which are being alleged in relation to the allegation that is being there. Next, show cause notice is the foundation on which the department has to build up its case. So in the show cause notice are all the details of the allegation given, or are they saying there is a mismatch between 3B and 2A, this is the difference, so this is the tax, so you pay? No. Take a difference here. When you are filing a reply, mention clearly there that it is only a statement that is given and no material is being provided. Okay, that how did they know that this 2A that I am having and the 3B, that is the 3B I have not availed a credit from the last year's 2A. Have they made any examination of that? Have they seen any Y2D figures? Okay, like if they are saying 1 and 3B mismatch for a particular month, have they seen for the entire quarter whether that has been corrected by me in the next month? Okay, so if a show cause notice is not proper, you have to take that out in the reply. Next, if the allegations in the show cause notice are not specific, so if there is no specific allegation, please mention that also. That it is vague. They have only told that I have issued fake invoices. So, but how are they coming to know that I have issued fake invoices? Only because the other person's registration is cancelled does not mean that I have utilized fake ITC. Does that mean so? If you see the show cause notices for fake ITC avail, it just says, dear such and such, this has come to the notice of the department that this particular supplier bearing GST number such and such, his registration is cancelled with effect from that date, 1/7/2017. So your ITC for 17/18, 18/19 is disallowed. You reverse the same and make the payment. So what is the allegation here? What is it that I have done wrong? Please let me know what is that I have done wrong. So when you are replying to the notice, please do clearly try to bring this out. that in the notice, no specific allegation has been given. No specific grounds has been given on the basis of which the show cause notice has been issued. Next, they are on the contrary vague, lack details or unintelligible. So mention all this. That the show cause notice is completely vague. It does not give me the details. And I'm not able to understand as to why, if the registration of my supplier is cancelled from a date which is 1st July 2017, why is it that my credit will be disallowed? And why is it that I have to reverse the credit? Why is it that they are blocking my ITC? Why is it that they are attaching my bank account? Right? They need to come in the purview of law. Which section gives the authority to take all these coercive actions? So once you place this in the reply to your show cause notice, it becomes easier for you when you go to the higher forums in appeal. Or else, if you don't take this technical grounds, in the higher forums, they may say, okay, in the show cause notice, no details were given. But did you point it out when you replied to the notice? Okay. Next, that is sufficient to hold that the notice was not given an opportunity. So, if the reasons are not given to me and it is told that there's a fake credit, just reverse it or things like that, or there's a 2A 3B mismatch, so reverse it. So that does not mean that I'm given an opportunity. I don't know what is the mistake that I've made. If I'm not aware, then how can I actually rectify the mistake? Right? So friends, my purpose of giving this particular judgment and spending some time on this particular judgment is that in some of the show cause notices that, I'm defending after the show cause notice replies have been there, I'm defending in the appeal stage. Okay. So we find it very difficult to fight it in the appeal stage. Why? Because when the reply was furnished, only simple replies were given that, this client, this ITC is genuine. Section 16(4) says that I can avail the credit. Section 16 says I can avail the credit if the goods are received, money is paid. That is fair. That is there. That is the technical part. That is the factual part. Okay, that is the law part. But also mention the technical parts. That there is no material given. The show cause notice is vague. It does not give me the details, okay, as to why there is a difference. It has not considered the fact that last year's 2A can also be taken here, So all these things, they need to be included in the show cause notice, in the reply to the show cause notice. Only then it becomes actually easy for us to fight in the days to come. So here, it was shared in Amit Foods Company Limited was Commissioner of Central Excise by Supreme Court. It's a very important thing. SSC had to be put on notice as to the exact nature of contravention for which the SSC was liable under the provisions of Rule 173Q of the Central Excise Rules. So if I'm given a vague thing, if I'm given a vague terms and conditions that this is a violation and pay the tax, then I'm not put to proper notice. Okay, I need to be put to proper notice. So please do give the citations also in your reply if you want. And for the knowledge of the house, I will share this entire PPT maybe within 2 days with the management of the branch, and then they'll share it with you. So you don't need to be worried about taking down the citations and all. Okay. So next this is again very important. Yeah. So here, So here it is about Agarwal Dyeing and Printing for the state of Gujarat. This is a very celebrated judgment. Okay, why celebrated judgment? I'm sure, friends, many of you have got notices for cancellation of registration, for non-filing of return, for not operating business within 3 months, for not having your place of business open at a particular point of time. Okay, then because you have availed some fake credit from somebody, from 3 to 4 people, and there could be several other reasons for which the show cause notices are being issued for cancellation of registration. But in most of this, you'll find that no details are given, as was shared in the Vrindavan beverage by the Honorable Supreme Court. Okay, it is only said that if you are liable to register, your registration liable to be cancelled because your place of business is not open. Full stop. And then they say that your thing is suspended from this date. Done. So here, Honorable Justice Pardiwala, he wonderfully shared that in para 18.2 of the judgment, over a period of time, we have noticed in many matters that the impugned order cancelling the registration of a dealer travels beyond the scope of the show cause notice. Okay. So that means when the show cause notice is given, none of the details are given. Why the cancellation is happening? So when you reply to the show cause notice, please do point it out that please give me the evidences, the proof on the basis of which you are telling that my place of business does not remain open. Okay, or the proof that I am availing credit, fake credit from my suppliers. Okay, or the proof that where is the section, where in the GST Act does it say that if I'm not fully operational within 3 months, okay, then I have to actually do a cancellation of the registration. Okay. Many times the dealer is taken by surprise when he gets to read in the order that the authority had relied upon some inspection report or a spot visit report. So they have cancelled your registration saying that your place of business was not open. And in the order, remember, in the show cause notice, they never mentioned this. In the order, it is mentioned. In the order, it is mentioned that there is a spot verification report and the proper officer has relied upon this. So to that, that's why when you're filing the reply, please do mention that please give me the supporting evidences or relied upon documents on the basis of which you are saying that my principal place of business is not open. So if the authority wants to rely upon any particular piece of evidence, that it owes to a duty to first bring it to the notice of the dealer, so that if the dealer has anything to say in that regard, he may say so. So that's why whenever you're furnishing a reply for any notice, and if you don't understand from where the details have come, okay, so in one case we got a notice saying that you have availed the ITC under RCM, but you have not paid the tax on RCM. So reverse the RCM and pay it in as output tax. Okay, but they did not tell us this is for which month, which year, and why it has been done. Okay, so in all these cases, the first reply that should go is give me the proof or the evidences or the documents that you have relied upon to make this conclusion. And along with that, seek an adjournment because 3 adjournments are possible. Okay, 3 adjournments are possible. Seek an adjournment that this is, give an adjournment so that in the next adjournment, I can actually give you the reply to all the allegations made by you on the basis of the relied upon documents. So in most of the cases, relied upon documents are not given. Please do make it a point to state by giving this judgment of the state of Gujarat, which is now a celebrated judgment. This is again a very old case law, old citation wherein MRF Mazdoor Sangh was Commissioner of Labour, wherein the show cause notice should reflect the jurisdictional fact based on which the final order is proposed to be passed. The person proceeded against would then have an opportunity to show cause that the authority had erroneously assumed existence of a jurisdictional fact, and since the essential jurisdictional facts do not exist, the authority does not have jurisdiction to decide the other issues. So here, what is happening? A particular person does not have jurisdiction over you. Okay, so in the case of the recovery officer example that I gave, he does not have any jurisdiction to issue a show cause notice to you because he is not your jurisdictional officer. Okay, so when he is giving a show cause notice, he has to mention that by rendering this provision of law, I have jurisdiction over this particular matter, and that's why I am asking you to make the payment that you are supposed to make the payment to him. I'm asking you to make the payment to me. Okay, and that too, before that, he needs to ascertain whether that amount is actually due or not. Like in the case of our clients, the amount has become time barred by limitation. So that amount is actually not payable. So we had just replied that no amount is payable as on date to this particular person because it is barred by limitation. So without going into the facts, whether any amount is actually due, the recovery officer had issued a show cause notice and the recovery notice to this particular SSE. So you need to see whether the particular person other than your jurisdictional officer, if any other officer is issuing a notice, you need to see under what jurisdiction he is issuing the notice and who will adjudicate, who will see whether the jurisdiction is proper or not. Pradeep Kumar Mansika was in UI. This is very important. This is also the same matter which is there. Now, coming to scrutiny of returns, which is one of the reasons for the issuance of the notice. So here what happens? This is one of the important things. The proper officer may scrutinize the return and related particulars furnished by the registered person to verify the correctness and inform in the discrepancies. If you can explain, give a proper explanation, then no further action is required. If proper explanation is not there, then, or if the explanation is there and he actually knows that there is a mistake between 1 and 3B, he has not paid the tax. So one way is he can accept the mistake and make the payment of the tax in the next return. If he does not do so, then the department can resort to 65, 66, 67 or 73 and 74. So from scrutiny of returns also, they can travel to show cause notice, right? So here they are saying that in case of scrutiny of returns, only in case of a discrepancy. So what is the discrepancy that needs to be seen? Okay, it is not something which will give you investigation, the opportunities of investigation. So what happens in this typical case? They issue a notice under section 5618, under rule 5618, saying that you furnish all your books of accounts and this and that, we will have to check. Okay, and once they do get all your books of accounts, then they do a lot of verification and investigation, and then they determine that this amount is payable. Friends, please try to understand that section 61 is very clear. They will scrutinize the return and related particulars furnished by the registered person as available to them. For this, you don't have to give any additional data. Because if you're giving any additional data, that will come under the purview of section 67. Okay, inspection. They are not doing inspection, they are just doing the scrutiny of the returns. So this does not give them an opportunity to investigate. Okay, so if he is not satisfied, then what he can do, he can go for departmental audit, special audit, search and seizure, or issue a show cause notice under 73, 74. So here, if he is not satisfied, he is going to issue, this is the thing that is normally happening. They are issuing your notice for intimation discrepancies in the return after scrutiny. So they will mention that these are there. Here in GST ASMT 10, what is happening is that they are not giving you the reasons properly. They are just intimating the discrepancies. But as we saw just now in Brindavan beverages, okay, that you have to identify the reason. You have to give the entire case as to why. Why do you think that this show cause notice is to be issued? You know, why this notice is coming in. So since this is not a show cause notice, here it is only an intimation. Though the name is given as notice, it is only an intimation of the discrepancies. Okay, so please don't confuse here, because many people actually take the ground here that, okay, so this is there, so you have to give all the reasons and all, you have not given reasons. So here they are just intimating to you the discrepancies that they have notified. It is not a show cause notice. They are telling you to identify the reasons why this discrepancy could happen. Okay, so this is again a very important judgment that we have to rely on in case of scrutiny of returns. When we are giving the reply to the notice, please be very careful. Here it says mismatch reports is indicative in nature but cannot be seen as a final to conceive any suppression, okay, of tax or turnover. So we need to understand that here the appellate authority, okay, and this is from Andhra Pradesh, only the jurisdiction appellate authority. So here they've said that the mismatch reports is only indicative in nature and they cannot be seen as a final to say that there is a suppression of turnover or tax. Okay, so because this mismatch could be because of technical reasons. In one of our cases, what had happened is that there was a mismatch because the 2A data was not properly auto-populated. The 2A data was not properly auto-populated in the 2A sheet, and that's why for certain months it was not showing. And that's why the officer felt that there was a difference, there was a mismatch between 3B and 2A, whereas essentially it was a technical fault because of the portal. So mismatch reports are not a conclusive proof on the basis of which you can say that there is a suppression of fact. Okay. Next, this is again another important judgment of the High Court of Bombay, wherein coercive assessment during lockdown is not justified. So if you have got any judgment or any notice during the lockdown period and you could not actually reply to it properly, and because of which they have just assessed the taxes in that case, while filing your appeals, please do take refuge in this particular judgment also. Okay, wherein they have clearly said that when you have paid a portion of the tax and you have just cancelled the registration, even after the portion of the tax was paid, because we know during lockdown there was a problem with finances for many. So many people, they could not pay their entire tax, during that period. So here the High Court of Bombay has held that if because of this COVID situation, they could not actually make the full payment, no coercive actions should be taken. Okay, no coercive actions should be taken considering the entire scenario because the lockdown was enforced in that particular case, and so the cancellation of registrations should not happen at that particular point of time. And friends, as you must be knowing, I'm sure you all know that for all the orders that we have received till the 1st of March, for them, from 15th March 2020 to 1st March 2022, if there is any order that you want to appeal against, you have the time till 31st of May 2022 to file an appeal. So if there is any cancellation order which had happened in the lockdown period and you forgot to do revocation and you could not do it, so now is the time when if you want and the SSC wants, you can go back and file an appeal against that, okay, citing the Supreme Court limitation order. And also this particular orders you can take and you can say that take the appeals and we file these appeals because many of the appeals they are being now allowed by the particular departments. Okay, now coming to section 73. So under this, why have I taken 63? Because in 63 it says, notwithstanding anything to the contrary contained in section 73 or 74, where a taxable person fails to obtain registration even though liable to do so, or whose registration has been cancelled under subsection 29(2), the proper officer may proceed to assess the tax liability of such person to the best of his judgment. So even if for an unregistered taxable person, you have already received a show cause notice as a URTP, okay, remember that they will try to do an assessment under section 63, okay, under section 63. So in these cases, try to avoid litigating the notice, rather try to reply to the assessment that is being done under section 63. Okay, in 64, certain assessments are done on a summary basis. So here, why am I taking this? Because here what is happening is that in case of summary assessment, wherein it is trying to protect the interest of the revenue, sometimes they do the assessment on a lump sum basis, that your turnover is 20 crores last year. So this year your turnover has to be 40 crores. And that's your turnover and that's your taxes, this is this. And you give a reply that, sir, my turnover before COVID was 20 crores, but during COVID phase, my turnover has come to 10 crores. But you have considered that my turnover has increased to 40 crores. So that is not right. So please do correct that based on this information, my bank statement, the electricity bill, and all other proof that I have. So in this case, what will happen? They will withdraw the order under 64 and they will travel again to issuance of show cause notice. So now what is the way forward? So I have kept this blank intentionally because this is some time I wanted to spend on this particular matter as to how we take the way forward. And I want a blank page because here we can actually think what has to be done. First, whenever you get a show cause notice, please do remember to keep the envelope and the date of receipt, because date of communication of show cause notice is very important, right? Secondly, please do remember to check the jurisdiction of the officer, whether he can actually issue the show cause notice to you. Third, please go through the show cause notice in detail at least 3 to 4 times. Okay, because when we are fighting some of the appeals, whenever we are fighting some of the appeals, in the later stage. Okay. So whenever we are fighting certain appeals, we are facing a problem that many facts from the show cause notice are not correctly taken in the reply to the show cause notice. So the third important thing that you need to remember is that the facts of the case, that should be properly read by us at least 3 to 4 times. It is not what we want to see, what the officer has written, but actually what the officer has written. And if possible, bisect the entire show cause notice, copy it on a Word document, and then distribute the pages, distribute it, separately, and then mention it, then go through it, and then try to find the reply. Next advice in relating to reply to show cause notice is that first get all your facts properly in place. So if there is a mismatch of 3B versus 2A, don't just look at 3B versus 2A as such. Please also see what are the DRC03s that you have filed. What have you written in your GSTR 9? What have you written in your balance sheets? Because many a times we see that the reply to the show cause notice is already furnished during the filing of the GSTR 9. Okay, so instead of jumping directly into writing of the reply, let us look into the allied documents that are there. That is very important. Okay, because the reply will have its foundation in all these documents. For example, if there is any excess tax, excess ITC that was availed by me, I have made the payment through DRC03. So I don't need to do anything. I just need to write the reply that this was the excess and the DRC03 is fine. Okay, and in some cases, it may so happen that I have availed the ITC of last year, this year. So I need to check in my GSTR 9 whether I have shown it properly or not. Right? So I have to check it in my GSTR 9 whether I have shown it properly or not. And how do I show that? What I do is in my GSTR 9 table 8, I see whether that extent of ITC is being carried forward. In this year's GSTR 9, where it is showing as excess avail, I see whether I write, in that portion in the table 12, that this much of ITC is being carried forward from the last year and availed this year. So the fourth thing is see all our internal documents that you need to have to reply to the thing. If there is the e-way bill 3B mismatch, find out the reason why the e-way bill is not matching with the 3B, right? Next, after you do all this, then try to understand about the case laws. About the case laws, I would like to tell you always, if possible, go by the sections. Try to rely mostly on sections and the rules rather than relying on the case laws. Why? Because the facts of the case that you are putting up and the facts of the case that you're replying to may be different. So maybe at a certain point of time, the divergence may actually harm you rather than giving you benefit. It has happened with some of the matters that we are fighting, wherein the case laws that have been given in the reply to the show cause notice that have gone actually against the particular person. Because he has pleaded principle of natural justice, but it is seen that the officer has given him proper opportunity of being heard thrice, and he was also given all the details properly, but it was the assessee who was not attended the hearing in the personal hearing. So in this case, when you take the plea of natural justice, it actually goes against you. Okay, so we need to understand that the case laws, while referring any case law, let us go through the entire citation and not only on the head notes or the last page of the judgment, what it is said, because in between lies the story. Like in case of movies, starting is something different, conclusion is some, climax is something different. In between, there are lots of ups and downs. So similarly, in the case of a citation also, there are lots of ups and downs in the beginning. So if, say, in case of the citation that have been given by me, I would request you to go back to the citations, take down the entire case law, read the entire case law, and then give the citation. So it helps you in your reply when you are going for the personal hearing also. Then the next thing that I would like to address is that apart from giving the facts and also the technical issues, like the show cause notice was not communicated to me properly. Okay, so I didn't know. It was put on the portal, and section 169 says putting on the portal is a service of notice, but I was not aware about the same because it has not come to me through SMS or through email. So if you're taking all these grounds, put that ground also in the reply to the show cause notice. So ideally, in the show cause notice, the reply should be in three parts. One is the fact of the case. Second, in the submission part, put in a factual submission, put in a legal submission, and third, a technical submission. Okay, so once we do all this, then finally the other thing about we can put in the citations, and lastly also try to have this in place positively, that you want yourself to be heard in person. Because please remember, the GST law has made this mandatory that you have to ask for it, that I want to be heard in person. Though the principle of natural justice says that everybody has to be given an opportunity to be heard, but as per the law, you have to ask, and normally everybody does it, but in some cases they don't do it. So if there is any hearing which happens if there is any order which happens only on the basis of a written submission and without your personal hearing, even though you have written that give me an opportunity of being personally heard, in those cases, the order can be treated as bad in law just on the principle of natural justice. So, yeah. Some of the recent judgments that are there. So in this case, impugned authorization issued by the additional commissioner. So here we need to understand that whatever notices are being issued, they need to be issued on the basis of an application of mind. Okay. So here what has happened after the search and seizure that was being conducted. Okay. The notices that were being issued, they were without any application of mind. They were just on the basis of facts that they had from some other authority. So in this case, what will come? The case of 26 AS mismatch with the GST returns. So we have not got still in under the GST era the mismatch notice of 26 AS with GST era, thankfully, but we have got a lot of notices during the service tax era. Okay, and all the tribunals, they have held that this cannot happen. You have to apply your mind. You have to have positive evidence. Okay, so whenever you get a notice for all these mismatches between this income tax return and your GST returns and all, please do take to it that there has to be application of mind. It cannot be based only on the basis of some evidence or some information given by a third party. Moreover, here in this case, statutory remedy not precluded from interfering where ex facie opinion form that order is bad in law. So the next question that is often being asked by us is that in case of show cause notices, okay, whether instead of replying to the show cause notice, whether we should go and file a writ directly. Okay, whether we can file a writ directly. So my registered place, my registration has been cancelled because of non-operating of principal place of business. So in this case, can I go directly and file a writ? So here it has been held, notwithstanding a statutory remedy, not precluded from interfering where ex facie opinion form that order is bad in law. So if the order that has been issued, say the cancellation order or the order for making of the payment for the difference between 3B and 2A, that is bad in law. Why is it bad in law? First, violation of principle of natural justice. So I was not given an opportunity of being heard. Second, order passed ex parte in nature. Okay, without giving any reason it has been passed. So in these cases only we can go to the High Court with a writ. So only on the basis of the show cause notice, I would request you not to go and file a writ, because all the writs that have been filed only on the basis of show cause notices, they have been not accepted or they have been rejected by the honorable courts. So only if the order is passed on the basis of the show cause notice, only if a bad order is passed, only in those cases you may go to the High Courts. But even then, we have divergent views in those cases also. In Smith-Kline Beecham, in a recent judgment, it has been held that you have to go through your appeal remedy first, and then only you can go through the High Court, not before that. Similarly, in a recent Srinagar Sugar Mills also, it's a 2022 judgment of the Karnataka High Court, wherein it is held that writ remedy cannot be availed when appeal is available under statute. So what had happened in this particular case? This is again a high-pitched assessment. So high-pitched assessment means you get a notice saying that there is a mismatch between your 26 AS and your service tax returns, okay, or your GST returns. And what is the difference? The difference is 10 crores. Why is the difference? Because in your GST returns, you have not mentioned your exempt supplies. Okay? You have not mentioned your exempt supplies. In your income tax return, you have given your turnover as 100 rupees. In your GST returns, your turnover is 20 rupees. And till now, you have not furnished your GST 9 because the due date is not there. So as per the department, the income tax return is showing, is 100 rupees, but in your GST returns, you have shown only 20 rupees. On the balance 80 rupees, at the rate of 18%, 36 rupees has to be paid instantly. Okay, so maybe in this case, suppose if it's a order of 20 crores. So in that case, you have to pay the pre-deposit to that extent, subject to the threshold limit of the pre-deposit. So is it possible? In one of my clients' case, they have got a service tax notice for 1.8 crores. Okay, because they had not replied to the show cause notice properly. There was an order which was being made, and now Now, when we are going to file the appeal, we are being told that 7.5% of that amount of 1.5 crore that has to be paid. But friends, tell me, is it practically possible that in such high-pitched assessments, whether it is practically possible to deposit such high amounts as pre-deposit? Okay, but here the Karnataka High Court has held nothing doing. Even if the show cause notice is bad, the order is bad, on which the show cause notice is filed, you have to take the route of appeal, and then from appeal, since the tribunal is not there, maybe then you can go to the high courts. Okay, so what is the learning that we can take from here? The learning that we can take from here is that when you are getting the show cause notice, okay, when you are getting the show cause notice, please be careful to give all facts, to give all law points and fight it out as much as possible, so that if possible, at that show cause stage, show cause notice stage only, you resolve all the queries and resolve it. Further, if there is an order which is emanating from the show cause notice, or if you think that in the show cause notice there is a certain amount payable, then what you can do is you can just pay off the show cause, the amount along with interest, because in that case you don't have to pay the penalty also. So when you're advising a particular client, please be very careful to see that if there is any tax which you think needs to be paid, which is, there is an interpretation issue, and maybe at a later stage of time after going for the appeals, the matter may not be in your favor. Don't take risk. Rather, please try to say that, tell them to make the payment of the tax if required, along with interest, because then they save on the interest and the penalty portion that may be levied later on. Because in many cases, it will be seen that even if the order is bad in law, you'll have to go for appeals. And when you go for appeals, you have to pay 10% of the entire order amount. And then only after going through the appeal, then only you can go to the writ court, maybe unless and until the order is very bad in law, violating the principle of natural justice, or it is beyond the jurisdiction, or it is heard ex parte. Okay, so this is the next thing, which is again a pain point for all the professionals. What is happening? The same matter, central tax authorities and the state tax authorities, they're running parallel, parallel investigation. So in this case, this judgment is actually not a favorable judgment for the SSC. But again, this is an eye-opener for professionals like us. Why? Because when two notices are being received from the two departments, say state tax and central tax, sometimes we advise the clients, no, they are for the same thing, so, one notice is already issued by the state tax, so other notice cannot be issued by the central tax. No, don't worry, we will need to reply only to state tax because they are jurisdictional authority. So let us not be in this wrong conception, because most of the courts are handling, or they are holding that if the matters are diverse. For example, state tax has issued you a notice for fake credit. That is, the ITC that you have availed, many suppliers, their registration is cancelled. So because of that, the state tax has issued you a show cause notice. And the central tax, they have issued you a notice for mismatch between GSTR 1 and 3B. So in this case, please do remember that these are not identical issues. And so both the authorities can parallelly conduct the investigation. You cannot say the case of, double jeopardy as per the constitution, that for the same offense, a person cannot be punished twice. No, here the offenses are distinct. Please try to understand, friends. Try to appreciate the fact that one is relating to ITC, that you have availed fake credit. Other is relating to payment of your output tax, which you have made short payment, because there is a difference between your GSTR 1 and 3B. So you need to respond to both of them. Okay, next is about a show cause notice against the deceased SSC. This is an order against the deceased SSC. So what has happened? Mr. X has passed away, and during the service tax era, we have a very important judgment of Shabina Abraham, wherein it is said that no order can be passed by or no show cause notice can be issued against a deceased proprietor, okay, against the deceased proprietor, because that person doesn't exist. And in the Service Tax or the Finance Act or the Central Excise Act, there was no mechanism to actually issue a notice for a deceased person. But friends, Please be careful. In case of GST, it is not so. In case of GST, please refer to section 93. The duty revolves on the legal heir, okay, or the legal representatives. So if any show cause notice is received in the name of the deceased person, don't think that no proceedings will happen. I am already defending a appeal wherein in the reply to the show cause notice, it is written that the person is deceased and therefore no tax has to be paid and therefore no replies are being furnished to the show cause notice. Okay, please do not do it. Even if you go to the court is going to say what the Honorable Court of Kerala has said, that you start taking fresh action against the legal heir or the legal representative. Okay, it is not that action will not be taken. Even during COVID, we have seen this situation. Many proprietors, they have passed away, unfortunately. And the next of the kin, son or daughters or wife, they don't have any head and tail about the business. But that does not absolve them from the liability under GST. Please be careful on this part, because if at the show cause notice stage, you fight it very strongly, giving his death certificate, giving the reasons, and giving all the explanations that the departmental officer is requesting you, maybe you have a ground for sympathy, wherein he may take it leniently and try to resolve the matter as early as possible. But you have to respond to the notices issued in the name for the deceased person's business. It has to be handled by the legal heir or the legal representative. Okay. In case, in one of the unique situations in Delhi that I am fighting, there is no legal heir, there is no legal representative, because unfortunately the family, they have lost the family, entire family, husband and wife. So in that case, it's a different scenario. There is nobody else who's going to take care of this, because none of the brothers, they're taking the responsibility. They're saying that we are not legal representative as per Hindu Succession Act, and all those things are there. So that's a different situation. But if there is a legal heir or a legal representative, they will be bound.
They're not audible, sir.
Sorry, now is it audible?
Arun, sir, please unmute yourself.
It's audible now?
Yes, sir, it's audible. You can.
Audible,
Yeah,
madam,
okay.
audible.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying. So with this, I think I would like to thank Guntur branch for giving me this wonderful opportunity. And thanks to all my team members for the tireless efforts in preparing this PPT. But only one disclaimer that I want to give, that I give at the end of every seminar or webinar, that this presentation is only for knowledge sharing purpose and only for the people who are attending this webinar today. Neither the organizers, the hosts, Guntur branch of SIRC of ICAI, nor myself are responsible for any legal decision taken on the basis of the PPT that I have presented or on the deliberation that I have been made, because this is made only with the pure objective of knowledge sharing only. However, if you have any doubts, or if you think that there is any suggestion that you have on the PPT, you can always mail to me on my mail ID, which is given in the PPT, which is dgorup@gmail.com, and my contact details are also there. I'm always available on the WhatsApp, maybe less on the phone calls, because tentatively I remain in the department from 11:30 to 4:30. So it becomes difficult to receive the phone calls, and from 4:30 to 6:30, I'm attending the offices and all. But yes, if there is any doubt, anything, then maybe you can always mail me or give me a WhatsApp. I'll try to respond at the earliest possible. And while on this, I'll try to share only one thing, that maybe you have seen that we have not done to 73, 74 sections and all. The reason being, you get the sections, you can read the sections. But what my intention was to take you through the practical aspects of show cause notice as to how we are actually facing the challenges, what are the challenges that we are facing, how we can actually face them, and some of the citations that you can actually help in while preparing your reply for the show cause notice. Thank you very much, and over to the management.
Thank you, Arupji. Thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. And I hope all the members has enlightened. And I think we are now almost ready to give replies to the notices which we are receiving and which will be receiving in future also. Thank you, and I wish to have you physically at our Guntur branch in the future.
Sure.
Sure. Thank you so much.
So if there are any questions, I would like to take them. Yeah, if there are any questions, maybe we can take them.
I request members to raise any questions. Yes, sir. Dear members, please raise any question if you have.
By the way, this is very wonderful thing you have done, immersive view. I think
Yes, sir.
it
Yes,
gives-
yes.
it gives a
Thank
wonderful
you.
feel. Yeah.
So I think no questions from our members.
Yeah.
Thank you, Arupji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.
And now I hand over the proceedings to CA Naresh to present a vote of thanks. Naresh, garu, over to you.
So, thank you, madam. It's been an honor to be a part of this wonderful webinar today. On behalf of Guntur Bench of SIRC, I would like to heartful gratitude to our speaker, Arup Das Gupta. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for sparing your wonderful time. Within a short notice, you have responded very well, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. With this knowledge, all our members will get enlightened, and they will be it will be very helpful in representing the cases at GST authorities, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks to all the participants on behalf of Guntur Bench of SIRC and our speaker, and to the chairperson and to the ex officio. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. And now
Thank
we are
you.
winding up the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you all the members for attending. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Namaste, sir. Namaste.
Yeah.